Donald Trump has said 4 different things about Iran this week, and every single one contradicts the last. From threatening to bomb Iran to claiming there was no ceasefire, then saying the country had been completely destroyed before returning to more threats, his message kept changing. British radio host James O'Brien explains why these constant contradictions make it impossible to trust Donald Trump's words. In this video, we'll look at how O'Brien breaks down Trump's repeated claims about the conflict with Iran. After the clip, I'll share my own thoughts on the discussion.
It's not necessarily helpful. The situation doesn't become less important or less urgent just because you've talked about it 100 times, but it becomes less, interesting? Talkable? What word would you use? I don't know. And then, of course, you've got the added dimension of Trump just making a mockery of observable reality. So normally you could at least report upon the facts, but if the President of the United States of America treats facts like dogs treat lampposts, then you can't even do that, really, because as we've observed a million times on this programme, you have to report what he says. You have to report what somebody occupying the office of the President of the United States of America says. And we are still not in a place where most people are comfortable adding to the report of what he said. By the way, he's almost always lying. And when he's not lying, he's acting out of epic self-interest, and he's often doing both. We haven't done it. We have not recalibrated international conversations to accommodate the scale of Donald Trump's moral depravity. We can't. I say we can't. I don't know if you can keep access to him while reporting accurately on what and who he is. So it's not funny anymore. I mean, it wasn't hilarious when we first started doing it, but do you remember when we brought Craig David into the conversation? Seems a little odd if you don't know why, but on a Monday, Donald Trump would tell you that he was about to bomb Iran into the Stone Age. On a Tuesday, he'd tell you that Iran was so frightened they were about to sign the mother of all ceasefires. Note to you, brackets, it could not by definition be as effective as the deal that was signed by Barack Obama, which Donald Trump tore up in his first administration. But, pesky facts, eh? So on a Monday, he's threatening to bomb Iran into the Stone Age. On a Tuesday, they're about to sign a ceasefire because he's such an epic diplomat and negotiator that he's pulling off the mother of all deals. On a Wednesday, they launch an attack anyway and completely obliterate the Iranian military. So the Iranian military by Wednesday has been completely destroyed. We don't need to worry about it anymore. On Thursday, the threat that's posed by the completely obliterated Iranian military is so acute that he's gone back to threatening to bomb them into oblivion. And then on a Friday, he's telling us again that Iran is about to sign a ceasefire and it will be the best deal ever and it's the best thing you've ever seen. They went for a drink on Saturday and chilled on Sunday. So you've got this extraordinary cyclical nonsense, which possibly explains elements of the fatigue, possibly explains why the laminate I have in front of me. Do you remember how excited I was when Eleanor laminated the Chilcot Checklist for me? Because it was like a skeleton key to unlocking a really complicated moment in British military history. It was a really complicated, and you can tell how complicated it was because an awful lot of clever people didn't get it. They didn't understand it, either because of footballification or political blinkers that they'd put on, or because of their lack of access to objective analysis, or perhaps because of the effectiveness of propaganda. Spoiler alert, propaganda does not only work on stupid people. It can work on almost everybody. In fact, I think that's probably not true, is it? I think it can work on absolutely everybody, if it's done well enough, if it's done right. But the Chilcot Checklist told us what we should do, what a Prime Minister should do, what a government should do in the event of contemplating military action against a foreign sovereign power. And it didn't fit Donald Trump's request to help him bomb Iran unprovoked, to allow US planes to take off from UK air bases to launch unprovoked attacks upon Iran. And unprovoked is a technical term, militarily unprovoked. The Iranian regime is, of course, hideous. And, of course, it murders its own citizens in their droves. But it remains sovereign and it remains foreign. And, therefore, it is military actions against well, I don't want to preempt the second bit of this picture, but it was an unprovoked attack against Iran that it appears Donald Trump was bounced into by Benjamin Netanyahu with no thought to the consequences or no understanding of the role that the Strait of Hormuz has played in Iranian geopolitics for generations, if not forever, actually, since boats were invented. Not that Iran would have been the name of the nation that occupied that particular part of the globe when boats were invented. So it was correct. Run you through those 10 things. Number one, vision. Why do we care? What does this mean for British interests? What are the risks of acting or doing nothing, including in the longer term? What is different now? Number two, analysis. What is happening now? What are you learning about events on the ground? Have assumptions been exposed to analytical tools or external challenge? Number three, scenarios. What might happen next? Look at options, scenarios, consequences, ask what could flow from these, and then what should we do? Design your options collaboratively, built them on challenge. Have you presented ministers with clear information on risks, opportunities and costs? Then you've got the legal implications. Now, this is not a straitjacket. How do we ensure action is lawful? Spoiler alert, sometimes they don't, but they should, always. What is the wider legal context? I mean, you're talking about a war in Iran that was essentially spawned by a man, Benjamin Netanyahu, who can't visit most countries in the world without being arrested on suspicion of war crimes. So you can either say, well, that proves that the law doesn't matter, or you can say that proves why it's so important to make sure that any actions undertaken militarily by our government are lawful. You look at the policy implications, you look at international legal basis, then you look at policy and strategy. You ask yourself, what does success look like? Then you do resource, what do we need to deliver? Planning and doing, how should we do it? Policy performance, how will you monitor performance? And evaluation, is the policy working? So when Donald Trump invited Keir Starmer to wash his hands in the blood of Iranian schoolgirls, Keir Starmer said no. The Chilcot Checklist did not deliver a rationale or a justification for allowing US bombers to bomb Iran unprovoked.
James O'Brien explains Trump's behavior in a way that's easy to understand. The main issue, according to the presenter, is that Trump repeatedly makes statements that cannot be relied upon. He argues that Trump often chooses misleading claims over the truth and reacts negatively whenever his version of events is challenged. Because of this, separating fact from political rhetoric becomes increasingly difficult. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next upload.